Blue and red lights were washing across my pasture like a storm I never ordered. The HOA president was parked on the county road with a phone pressed to her ear, whispering, "Yes, dispatch. He's armed." And I stood there on my own gravel drive with a cordless drill by my boot and both hands, where the deputies could see them, thinking one very clear thought. On Monday at 9 a.m., she was going to learn exactly who she'd been harassing. My name is Caleb Hart, and I bought 14 scruffy, beautiful acres outside Ash Fork, Colorado, because I wanted quiet. Coyotes at night frost on fence posts, coffee that tastes like it earned the morning, not drama with a clipboard. The first time she came, sun barely up, I was unloading lumber and horse panels when a white SUV threw dust down my driveway. No, hello, no, welcome to the neighborhood, just a woman in heels that sank into soft dirt saying, name and lot number like I'd wandered into the wrong movie. I'm not in Pine Hollow Preserve, I told her, and held out my phone's survey map with a licensed stamp parcel line in red. My east fence sits 180 feet past your boundary. Your CC&Rs don't reach this far. She gave it the kind of glance people give a fact they've already decided to ignore. Wrote sightline protection. Review required on her clipboard, like she was deputizing herself, and walked onto my grass, taking pictures of my cabin. The lumber, even the coil of rope by the barn, snapping away like evidence meant jurisdiction. You know what I mean. That feeling where your face gets hot, but your brain says breathe. Don't give them the clip they want. So I documented, time plate the little heel craters across my yard, built a folder on my laptop that night labeled Pine Hollow Incidents, and a timeline spreadsheet with columns for date, what happened, what evidence I had, what law or rule actually applied. By midweek, I had a courtesy notice, then a warning, then threats of fines climbing like they were charging by the exclamation point, $300 a day, then $600 a day, effective immediately, all signed by President Pine Hollow Preserve, HOA, with highlighted CC&R sections that didn't apply to me or my dirt or my sky. I replied once, polite, factual, done. After that, I let paper do the talking and ordered cameras. 8 of them, 5 Mbps with cloud backup and GPS-stamped time codes. The installer was a former sergeant who took one look at the tire tracks and said, "Happens more than it should. People confuse a title with authority and a driveway with their kingdom." Yeah, that happened. Week 2, she tried social pressure. She showed up with a resident named Lena who looked like she wanted to be anywhere else. Everyone cooperates. The president said, crisp voice tape measure, snapping open like a threat. Why are you being difficult? I'm not difficult. I'm correct. I told Lena calm and plain. That's not the same thing. The tape measure dragged across my driveway up to my fence, the snap at the end like a period. You're inside the view shed, she said. That's not a legal term, I said. And your boundary marker is behind those junipers. She wrote it anyway. That night, the Pine Hollow app lit up, a safety alert about a dangerous new resident refusing to comply. Photos of my cabin shot from the road, comments stacking up about property values and bad apples. Lena posted, "He's not in our HOA. Leave him alone." And 5 minutes later, her comment was gone, and so was she from the group. Screenshots joined the folder. The timeline got a new row: public defamation, removal of dissent. I sent a measured email to the 7 board members. Survey plats, timestamps, photos of the unauthorized inspection screenshots from the app. My single polite reply, and then nothing, and 3 wrote back the same night, "We didn't approve this. This is alarming. We'll look into it." The HOA's outside counsel, a man named Harold Whitaker, who sounded like old leather, called the next morning. "Mr. Hart, I've told Ms. Landry twice this week where the boundary is. She's enthusiastic. She's reckless," I said, "and she's about to make it a police matter." He went quiet in that lawyer way that means you're not wrong. "If she calls again, document cooperate. Consider a formal complaint. We're past CCNRs and into harassment." I wanted him to be wrong. I also hung a headlamp on a hook by the door and charged 2 extra camera batteries. Saturday came on golden, the kind of evening that turns fences into postcards, and I walked the western line with a drill and a box of brackets, losing myself in the simple rhythm. Measure, drill, secure. The way work can rinse a week out of your chest. My phone buzzed, then again, but screws strip when you split your attention. So I finished the bracket before I looked. 2 missed calls and a text from Harold. In all caps, "Call me. Urgent." The sirens hit my road before my eyes hit the second line. First far, then close, then turning onto the county gravel, with lights that made the junipers throw hard shadows across my boots. I set the drill down, slow, lifted my hands, and stepped into the blue and red like I was walking into a freezer. "Evening," the sergeant said. Steady palms open. "Professional. I'm Sergeant Dana Ruiz. Keep your hands where I can see them, and tell me your name." "Yes, ma'am. Caleb Hart. This is my property. I'm repairing a fence. The drill is there." She took my ID radio dispatch. Eyes moving like she'd been on enough bad calls to never assume a good one, and I watched the second deputy do a slow loop of the yard. On the road above the pasture, the white SUV idled the president on her phone keys, rattling in her hand like nervous little bells. Dispatch confirmed ownership. Confirmed a prior unfounded call earlier in the week, and I felt the air loosen by a notch. "We have to respond." The sergeant said, a kindness in her voice that didn't excuse anything, but named a fact. "I know," I said, "and I appreciate you coming. Please note this as a knowingly false report. It's designed to bring you in hot on a non-crime." That line mattered to me, not because I wanted anyone punished, but because if you've ever had your hands up on your own land, you learn the difference between authority and its misuse in your bones. After they left, the pasture was silent again, and my phone buzzed with an email from Maya Quinn, HR Director at Evergreen Community Partners, the management company for Pine Hollow and a few thousand other communities. We received a complaint from a community manager about a hostile resident obstructing enforcement. Can we speak Monday morning? That was the twist tightening in my pocket. I'm the executive vice president of operations at Evergreen. The person she'd been threatening on weekends is the person who approves her boss's promotion on weekdays. I hadn't told her because I wanted to see if decency without rank could hold. Turns out, not for her. Sunday morning, I built a 10-minute highlight reel cut from 47 files and sent it with my timeline to Maya with one line. 9 a.m. Monday. Conference room 3B include legal and Ben Ortiz, Ms. Landry's supervisor, and please do not inform her of my role before the meeting. Maybe that sounds petty. It wasn't. I wanted her to face the facts without dodging behind a title. Monday, 8:30 a.m. I was in early with cables tucked and audio checked. Maya arrived with a legal pad and a face that said she'd watched everything. Our counsel sat down with that quiet lawyers have when they know the answer and hate it anyway. And Ben walked in, looking like he trusted his numbers until the numbers learned to talk back. "She's always hit compliance," he said, and I slid 7 resident emails across the table that never made it past her inbox. Low complaints happen when people are too intimidated to file them, I said. At 1:58, the elevator chimed. At 2:00, she walked in black suit clipboard, at parade rest confidence. So rehearsed it squeaked. She looked at Maya, not at me like I was a prop in someone else's meeting. Maya said, "Paige, this is Caleb Hart," then added, "Caleb is our executive vice president of operations." The clipboard slipped and hit the table with a sound you remember not because it's loud, but because it's the moment a story changes. "We're here to discuss your complaint," I said, "and your conduct." We watched the reel together. The trespass, the thrown violation notice, the app post about a dangerous resident over video of me drilling fence brackets, the 911 audio, claiming I was armed, laid over a wide shot of my empty hands, and the sergeant's slow approach, the emails where counsel warned her about jurisdiction, the warnings she signed and ignored. Counsel folded her hands and spoke like a verdict. Not dramatic, just final. "Ms. Landry, this is not a misunderstanding. This is a pattern. Harassment, trespass, defamation, and false police reports that created risk. We are terminating your employment for cause effective immediately. There is no severance. We will cooperate with authorities." She stared at the grain of the table like it might argue for her, then looked up at me with a face I'd never seen on her. Not combative, not smug, just human and scared. "I didn't know who you were," she said. "That shouldn't matter," I told her. "Common decency doesn't care what's printed on a business card." "I have a family," she whispered. "So do I." I said, "This could have ended the first day you saw the survey." Security knocked. Maya stood. Ben closed his eyes like a man who just learned metrics can hide rot, and the door clicked behind the clipboard. She didn't pick up because armor without legitimacy is just a piece of wood with a clip. I didn't feel triumphant walking back to my truck that night. I felt tired, steady, and weirdly hopeful, because when the full story was laid out, the right people chose accountability. Ben started talking about audits and training that actually teaches jurisdiction instead of parroting numbers. Maya asked me to help build a resident rights module council, suggested a hotline that bypasses gatekeepers and me. I drove home, finished the last 2 brackets under stars that didn't care about any of it, and listened to the kind of quiet you don't take for granted once you've had sirens in your driveway. If you're waiting for me to say I wouldn't change anything, I can't do it. I wish I'd drawn my line sooner. I wish she had listened to her own attorney. I wish none of us ever had to stand with our palms up on our own land to prove we belong there. But if this story does anything, I hope it reminds us what titles are for. Not to punish people into compliance, but to protect them. And maybe it gets one person with a clipboard to put it down long enough to read the boundary line. So let me ask you, and be honest in the comments because that's the point. What matters more where you live? A title, or the way someone uses it? Where's the line between community standards and a power trip? If you've seen a clipboard turn into a weapon, what did you do? Stand back, stay quiet, or step in? Tell me if I drew my line too late, or just in time. Share this with someone who needs a little courage to draw theirs. And if you want more true first-person stories told, plain and steady, subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll be here. Fence solid cameras, blinking coffee hot, telling it the way it actually felt.